2 years ago, people were asking if Victor Wembanyama was worth the hype. At this point, the Spurs had missed the playoffs 6 years in a row. Victor Wembanyama was going to miss the season with blood clots, and there were a lot of questions around whether or not Victor Wembanyama could lead the Spurs to the same type of heights that they saw with Greg Popovich, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker. And so far throughout this NBA season, it seems that he is clearly capable of that, and he might just sneak and get the MVP as well. As it stands right now, since February 1st, the Spurs are 23-2. They absolutely cannot lose, and they have been the best team in the NBA over this stretch, and they're starting to make a push for the first seed in the West. Why? Because Victor Wembanyama has been playing out of his mind. Let me read y'all some stats right quick. So far throughout the season, Vic has been insane. 24.2 points, 11.2 rebounds, and 3 assists. Only 6 players in NBA history have ever finished with these type of numbers. That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaq, Patrick Ewing, and David Robinson. Now, I'm not a betting man by any stretch of the imagination, but I would imagine that Vic is going to be able to keep these numbers up for the rest of the year. And I even mentioned the fact that he's averaging a league high 3 blocks per game. The way that teams approach a game when he is there, they simply try to avoid the paint altogether because having Slender Man in the paint is very intimidating, and a lot of teams realize that. And after Vic came out and he talked this mess a little bit about why he should win the MVP, we got some new MVP rankings, and it got the internet buzzing. Naturally, Vic comes out in the interview and he makes his case as to why he should be the MVP, simply saying, I'm the best defender in the world, I'm one of the best players offensively in the world, and I've been having the season of a lifetime. And that's when these rankings came out. Vic is number 1, Shai's number 2, Jokic is number 3, and Luka is number 4. And I don't get anybody else because these top 4 guys is who I will think eventually end up actually competing for the MVP at the end of the season. At the start of the season, no one expected this. I ain't gonna fake, I didn't expect Wemby to look this good. I think he was gonna be a pretty great player out there for sure. It's Wembanyama, and he had been great throughout his first 2 seasons in the NBA. But I knew what Nikola Jokic was coming with, I knew what SGA was coming with, and I knew there were some other guys who could definitely compete with Vic for this MVP spot. And this season, Vic has completely opened up the door, especially as of recent with the Spurs seeming like they simply cannot lose. But at the start of the season, Jokic had opened up the season as hot as anyone. I mean, he had triple doubles in half of his games. The Denver Nuggets were one of the best teams in the NBA, and Jokic was looking like the best player throughout the entire league. The MVP was his to lose, and then he gets injured and he goes out with the injury. But no need to fear because SGA was here. SGA, with having no J-Dub, with having chest struggle injuries, and the Thunder as a whole struggling injuries, SGA was sitting up here in a very peculiar position. The Thunder were still having the best record in the West. Recently, he was able to break Wilt Chamberlain's record for most 20-point games in a row. And although the Thunder were struggling to win games, especially against the Spurs, SGA was still a model of consistency for the Thunder, and he's been a big reason as to why they've kind of started to ramp it up recently. And Luka has made a nice little push recently too. He's had multiple 60-point games. I think he actually had a 40-point game last night, if I'm not mistaken, and he has looked like the 2024 version of Luka Doncic, the same Luka that led the Mavericks to a championship appearance. They got their ass kicked, but they were in the finals, and that is something that has to be praised at least a little bit. And he's been playing like that recently as well, and he might be able to take him to the playoffs. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Luka is able to take this Lakers team and have them be a high seed and go a little bit deep in the playoffs, conversations will get very nasty. Now, I have to talk about Shai. When you look at a guy like Shai, it's very easy to see why he was the MVP favorite before this little media push from Vic. Shai is averaging 31.4 points, 4.4 rebounds per game, 6.6 assists, 1.4 steals, and he is shooting 55% from the field and 88% from the free throw line, and the OKC have a 57-15 record. Best player on the best team with the best record in the NBA. It's very hard for you not to sit up here and say Shai is the MVP. He has been performing at all-time levels, and what personally sealed me that Shai would be the MVP, because as of right now, Shai's my MVP, was when they went up against the Denver Nuggets. He didn't have J-Dub, he didn't have Hartenstein. The Thunder were very injury-riddled, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went out there. He hit 2 very clutch shots at the end of the game. He locked up on defense. He was setting his teammates up. Shai had clearly taken another level when it seemed like he couldn't go any further. I mean, he was the goddamn MVP for goodness sakes. And he did exactly that. He's starting to understand the game more. He's starting to really get more of a playmaking feel and turn into a real point guard, which was my biggest knock against Shai up until this point. So with Shai looking like the best player in the NBA and not having anything you can really take away from him, he was clearly number 1. And then of course I have to talk about Jokic. Jokic started the season on fire. I already talked about it, but recently he started to pick it back up. Before his injury, let me tell you what Nikola Jokic is doing. 29.6 points, 12.2 rebounds, and 11 assists while shooting 60% from the field and 43% from 3. Shit like that is not normal. People are not going out and just shooting 60% from the field and 43% from three. That isn't normal, and that is why Nikola Jokic, in my opinion, to start season, was the leader of this MVP race. But then he gets injured, he goes out, and ever since he had came back, he has not looked the same. He's looked a little hobbled, he looked like he's been out there struggling, he's been turning the ball over way more than recently. Because we're not accustomed to seeing this from Jokic, it just kind of made him fall down out of the MVP rankings a little bit. But recently, over the last 4 games, 25 points, 17 rebounds, 16 assists, 58% from the field, and he's playing crazy minutes. And he actually almost got like a 20-20 game, but Christian Braun shook ass and like kind of sold him. So it's been kind of bad for him. But regardless, he's come back and he's still been pretty good. And the case for Jokic is kind of similar to what Shea was going through. The Nuggets have been one of the most injury-riddled teams throughout the entire season. Aaron Gordon just recently came back. Same thing with Christian Braun, but they've been out for majority of the season. And other pieces like a Cam Johnson on that team have not shown up consistently. The only models of consistency has really been Nikola Jokic, Payne Watson, Jamal Murray, and some other supporting factors. But because of all these injuries, for the Nuggets to still be in the position that they are, and for Jokic and Jamal Murray to still have the Nuggets looking like contenders, not just based off what they've done in the past, but because of how they performed this season, you have to at least allude a lot of that success to none other than Nikola Jokic. And over the last 4 games, it seemed like he's starting to get comfortable again. But goddamn, Luka. 41 points, 6.6 rebounds per game, 5 assists, 3 steals, 49% from the field, 38% from 3. I'm gonna round up for you, 83% from the free throw line. Luka's been unreal. Luka's been unreal, and the Lakers have been very successful recently as well because of Luka's amazing play. LeBron's starting to kind of get together. Austin Reeves, all of that jazz is cool, but it's because of Luka. Luka has been going out there and absolutely hooping and being unguardable. It makes the Lakers better as a whole, and it makes you wonder that is he actually the most valuable player in the entire NBA, because it looks like it so far. And this is where it gets ugly, because all 4 of these guys I just mentioned have a legitimate case for a multitude of reasons I just listed. So who is most deserving of the MVP? It's kind of what it comes down to every year, but I don't think we've seen an MVP race like this between 4 guys in a long time, especially with the youngest guy in the race being at the top. Now, overall, here's where I am with the MVP race so far. I think Victor Wembanyama, I think all these guys are very deserving in terms of their impact alone. Jokic is starting to seem to get together a little bit. The Nuggets are seeming to be playing well because of this. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been absolutely unbelievable. And really, since that game versus the Nuggets, I think that's what sealed it up for me. And then with Luka, you cannot ignore the type of numbers that he's putting up. Literally, the definition of video game numbers is what Luka Doncic is doing right now. Nobody can guard him. Nobody can stay in front of him. He's shitting on everybody. But I say all of that to say, I still have to take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think that Victor Wembanyama provides a lot, and I mean a lot of value to the Spurs, and I think, hey, listen, Vic, I got to give it up to you, bro. Talk your shit. You are definitely a very worthy and deserving MVP candidate. You're probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year. You're the best defensive player in the league so far. You are amazing. You're Victor fucking Wembanyama. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, with him being able to be not the defender that Vic is, but still a very plus-level defender and the best offensive player in the league at this current point in time, and yes, I mean the absolute best, and being able to lead a Thunder team that has gone through its own trials and tribulations this season and have them looking like the best team and still the championship favorites despite everything they've gone through this season, I can't ignore that. Personally, I can't ignore that, and I think Shai has shown that not only is he the best player in the NBA, he's the MVP. He's been the best player in the NBA this entire year. A model of consistency. He hasn't dealt with injuries like Vic has, like Jokic has, like Luka has. He hasn't been inconsistent like how Luka has. He has not dealt with any of that. He's come out, been Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, give you 20, give you 30. He's hooping every night he's out there on the court. So I have to give him the MVP. Regardless of what these sites with people on Twitter, listen, I love the fact that Victor came out and he was talking his shit. The defense is 50% of the game, and he is one of the most impactful defenders in the entire game. He is very nice on offense. He can do a lot of shit that we just generally have not seen before. But so can Shai. Well, not defensively, but offensively, so can Shai. We see Shai go out here and hoop night in, night out, regardless. Nobody can stop him no matter how you try to guard him. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just looks like the best player in the entire league, and I think he's the MVP. But if Vic does win it, I'm not going to be outraged. If any of those 4 guys win it, well, if Luka won it, I would think that was a little bit fucking crazy. I'm not going to cap to you. But any of these guys win, I'm not going to be crazy outraged. I think they're all very deserving, but I just think SGA has the clear advantage over everybody. Me personally, I think Vic, I think Luka, I think Jokic, they have been amazing, but Shea has been better. The only guy that's really had his number when they've played head-to-head has been Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. But boy, oh boy, if anybody can figure it out, if anybody can figure that shit out, it's going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But I think the overall bigger picture of this is like, look at where the NBA is right now. Well, I remember years ago when LeBron was starting to fall off a little bit, and same thing with Curry, and we were just starting to see some of the great players that we admired growing up start to fall off a little bit. People were concerned. Where was the NBA going to go? Who's going to be the face of the NBA next? Who's going to... Man, the 4 dudes leading this MVP race are all under 30. None of them are above 30. They're all relatively young, and they are the faces of their franchise, and they are primed to be the faces of the entire NBA sometime, someday, if they're not already. And we're not even mentioning other guys like Cade Cunningham, Anthony Edwards on top of this. The NBA is in great hands. And the fact that I get to make a video like this, thinking about whether or not Victor Wembanyama, who would be the youngest MVP since none other than Derrick Rose, and will be one of the only players in NBA history other than Hakeem and MJ to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. The fact that I'm making a video on that is completely remarkable, and I want to really commend Vic for actually talking this shit. We need more stuff like that. We need players that are going to go out here, talk their mess, say that they deserve these awards, and then go out and back it up on the court. We need that, not this PR ass shit that these players be doing in the media. I don't want none of that. So congrats to Vic, and if Vic wins, I mean shit, I'm not going to blame him for giving it. He's been a top 5, top 3, whatever you want to say, player in the league so far this season. I'm just taking Shai, but that's just me. Who are you taking? Y'all let me know down below in the comments who you're taking in this MVP race. If it's not Shai like me, let me know why you have chosen any other player that I mentioned or I didn't mention. But I mean, as for me, that's all I got for now. And until next time, peace.